What's going on? This is Jamal with Prescribed Truth. This is the Prescribing Truth podcast. I am one of the ones who distribute the truth that the doctor prescribes. And yeah, I was on here earlier already, and ran through some technical difficulties, if you will. He had some trolls visiting me, so I decided to try things a little bit differently. Um, this time, making the podcast unlisted. I did share it on my Facebook, and so hopefully somebody will come on from there. If they get it, I didn't make it public and see. Maybe hopefully that will kind of stir away some trolls. So yeah, very interesting how things work out when you can have trolls just come on in through your link. When we put the link out there, that's what happens. This is the internet by all means. But yeah, so once again, put my plugs out there because I had to delete the other video. Too much going on in that, and I had to remove it. So if you haven't, please support us on Patreon.com at Prescribe Truth. You can support us at $1 and up, $3 and up, $5 and up. You can take part in the live stream of the podcast. You can also vote on different topics. Also have access to patron-only content. We have goals we're trying to meet. Try to give back to the community and so on and so forth. I want to do this podcast and this live stream just to be able to chop it up with a few people, whoever would see fit to want to come on and chop it up, whatever, everything you want to talk about. Be it that it has anything to do with any kind of foolishness or any kind of ratchetness and raunchiness, seeing as what came on the last time I was on the stream. But yeah, and so what else is there? Oh yeah, find us on Facebook and Prescribe Truth, and if you haven't already, subscribe to a YouTube channel. If you have any questions dealing with the faith, or if you're a Christian or not a Christian, and you want to just chop it up, have a respectable dialogue, I'm down for it. I believe that as a Christian, that we should stand behind truth, not stand behind lies or fairy tales, anything like that. The Christian faith is very intelligible and very logical, and so, yeah, we open to talk about those kind of things and so on and so forth. I was in the middle of reading from an article that I have in one of my notebooks that I do my apologetic, studying from, dealing with can the Bible be trusted? And I was reading from that. I haven't even made it past the first point when live stream was bombarded with a whole bunch of craziness. But I see I got one person in right now. If you're in, hey, the link is in the description if you want to come on and join the live stream. Say hello. Maybe ask one question and we can bounce out. You can, you don't have to have your camera on. Just be the audio. Whatever makes you feel more comfortable. If I don't get if nobody comes on, and I guess I'll start over in the article that I was reading before being rudely interrupted. Yeah, I thought it was a way on here, and I just haven't learned it yet. Still a lot dealing with hangouts on air that I have to get used to. But I thought it was a way that I can have it where it automatically mutes people when they come in, and I can unmute them so they can speak and so on and so forth. That the last time I did this, just a few minutes ago, before I can touch anything, it was already unmuted and already video on. And yeah, if you was on here, if you happen to be the one viewer that's on here now, if you was on here doing that live stream, well, you seen an eye full as well. So stuff I could have did a long time, probably a whole lifetime, until eternity for having to see. But yeah, so if nobody's going to come on and chop it up, then I guess I'll go ahead and start on this article again. And I guess as people come in, then we can chop it up or whatever. I think that sounds pretty good. Just a little bit. All right. So this article, it says, "Can the Bible be trusted?" Now, it doesn't list the author of this article, but these are things. The website is from note4u.org and Trust the Bible. So that's basically the website. Um, I've looked into this stuff before, and I mean this is verifiable. The points this person makes, you can look it up for yourself. You can fact check it. Matter of fact, I encourage you to. And by any chance you find anything that's not factual and what I'm going to present to you, then I ask that you would please communicate it with me. I want to stand on the truth. I don't want to stand on any false information. But I've seen this, and it's lined up to what I've seen so far. And so, yeah. So it starts off at the top of the article by saying, every human lives their life according to what they believe is true. And that's the case for all of us. Everyone has a belief system. Everyone has a worldview. They have a belief in which they see the world by. I see my life through a Christian worldview, a biblical Christian worldview. Some people may see their life through an atheistic worldview or an agnostic worldview. Whatever case may be, or whatever religion they're a part of. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you believe is true, that's how you pattern your life. And so this is true, especially with Christianity. And so the first point is, it is the most, saying about the Bible, this is talking about the Bible, saying the Bible, it is the most reliable collection of ancient writing. It says historians base authentic, reliable writings on two things. All right, two things. So historians, now not just Bible scholars, just historians, period, who study all ancient literature. They base authenticity, if I pronounce that right, off of two things. A, number of existing copies. How many copies that we have outside of the original? Taking that the original doesn't exist anymore, saying if we don't have the original, how many existing copies do we have? That point is for corroboration. Just like in a courtroom, you have a witness. How many witnesses can testify that they've seen you in such and such place? How many witnesses testify that you weren't there? On the number of witnesses that says you were there, on the ones that say you wasn't, that kind of make it more probable that you probably was at the place if you had more witnesses saying you was there at the crime. You see what I'm saying? If that made any sense? So looking for the number of existing copies. Then you have B, the time gap between the original document and the earliest copy. Now that's important. A time gap between where the original probably was written in and versus the earliest copy that we have. So those are the two things, the two criteria on basing if something a writing and reliable. So Plato's writings. Now, when we look at Plato's writings, I haven't yet seen, and I could be wrong, but I have yet to see anyone make a claim that Plato didn't write these writings, or Socrates or anybody else. I haven't heard anybody say, hey, those writings of Plato, he didn't write those. They were fabricated. They were made up, So Plato's writings, we only have 7 copies. 7 copies. And from the earliest copy from the original, 1,200 year gap. That's the gap. 7 copies and 1,200 years gap between the original and the earliest copy. That's Plato. Julius Caesar, the writing of Julius Caesar, being Julius Caesar's Galactic Wars. We only have 10 copies. 10 copies. Put my hands up. 10 copies. The gap, at least 1,000 years between the original and our earliest copy. Just 1,000 years. Only 1,000 years. Homer's Iliad, 643 copies. Now that's a lot of copies. Homer's Iliad, 643 copies. And guess how much that gap is? A 500-year gap. That's half the time of Julius Caesar. We can believe Homer's Iliad writings more than we can believe Julius Caesar's or Plato's writings. We have more copies of Homer's Iliad, and the gap is smaller. But now let's look at the New Testament. The New Testament of the Bible we currently have at least 6,000 complete copies. What you say? 6,000 complete copies. Now, what's the gap between the earliest copy and the original, or what the original would have been? 25-year gap. 25-year gap. How many copies? 6,000 complete copies. That's just the complete ones. And we have 18,000 portions. We have 18,000 portions of manuscripts. The same year gap. Wait a minute. So in total, we have around 24,000 copies and pieces of manuscript, like 24,000 copies or portions of copies of our manuscript of the New Testament, and a 25-year gap before the earliest copy that we have and the original. Trust Homer's Iliad based off of the fact that it's 643 copies total, 500-year gap compared to Julius Caesar's writings and Plato's writings. But then you have, by biological inference, you have to believe and trust the New Testament of the Bible that has 6,000 complete copies. 5-year gap. You can fact check this. You can look this up. It's out there. You know, a lot of people, they just look at stuff that's based on their bias, but if you just look at the evidence that's there, you'll be amazed. Now, it was at this point that I was just thrown off, you know, from what I was talking about. But the second point that this author makes says the Bible was written over a span of 1,500 years by 40 different authors on 3 different continents and 3 different languages with one common message. God's salvation of man through Jesus Christ. That's beautiful. Talking about the Old and the New Testament, written over a span of 1,500 years. So you're talking about this right here throws off the notion that the Bible was fabricated by just one particular person or a particular group that wanted to make these words be something to mean something that they were never meant to mean or be, or that even take away any kind of idea of plagiarism because of the idea that it's taught 40 different authors over a 1,500-year gap, over a span of 1,500 years. You know, how they going to corroborate each other's stories? How the authors of the Old Testament, the prophecies that were given, fulfilled in the New Testament, and so on and so forth, fulfilled after the New Testament was finished. I mean, it's amazing. You talk about 40 different authors on 3 different continents, not all in the same place, where they can be controlled by one particular group of people to make sure it says what they want it to say, to try to, get over, pull the wool over people's eyes, as we used to say. It's about 3 different continents in 3 different languages with one common message. Those languages being Hebrew, Aramaic, and Koine Greek. Koine Greek just means common Greek. You know what I'm saying? So Aramaic, Hebrew, and Greek, 3 different languages with one common message. Over the course of the Old and New Testament, there's one common message: God's salvation of man through Jesus Christ. Now, if you read the Bible from start to finish, and you can try to pack it at the law and everything like that, but there's one consistent message all the way through the scriptures, that God is going to bring salvation to his people by the Messiah who comes to be, who's revealed to be Jesus Christ, the Son, the eternal Son of God. Now, the third point that the author of this article makes, it is historically accurate. There have been 23,000 archaeological digs related to the Bible, and all have supported biblical statements and events. Now, you can look that up. I mean, as the days go by, I see more and more. Matter of fact, there was a recent dig that discovered another manuscript, another early manuscript. You know, and so I mean, they're still finding things that validate the scriptures. You know, now the fourth point that he makes, there were over 500. No, I'm sorry, misquoted that. Not 500. Scratch that. There were over 50 prophecies concerning Jesus written from 200 to 1500 years before he was even born. What? Yeah, 50 prophecies concerning Jesus written from 200 to 1500 years before he was even born. And guess what else? All came true. I mean, one that comes to mind particularly is Isaiah 53 and Psalm 22. Isaiah 53 dealing with the suffering servant. Psalm 22 dealing with the crucifixion. I mean, it just describes the crucifixion in grave detail. I mean, it talks about being pierced in his hands and his feet, how they cast lots for his clothing. You know, they didn't have to break his bones. It's talking about how he thirsts. I mean, how there were dogs that encircled him, meaning Gentiles, which would mean the Roman soldiers. I mean, it's just a lot of accuracy there from prophecy that was written way before Jesus was even born. Then it says the odds are greater than anything Las Vegas has ever seen. His crucifixion was predicted 600 years before crucifixion was invented. Wow. His crucifixion was predicted 600 years before crucifixion was invented. And I will go a little further, you know, because see, you're talking about with Isaiah, you're talking about the suffering servant. I would see that because that's about 700 years or so 600 or more years. But Psalm 22 written at least 1,000 years before Christ. You know what I'm saying? So that's before crucifixion. And then, like I said, describes in grave detail the crucifixion, which was 1,000 years before it was even invented. They weren't even thinking of crucifixion. Then it's then point 5 that he makes, or he or she makes, it doesn't give an author. People are smuggling the Bible into countries right now, and they are willing to die for it. Now, I'll go a step back and look at the apostles and the early Christians who were willing to die for what they saw, not for what they heard. You know, you had some that died for what they heard, but I'm talking about earliest ones who gave their life to the sword for what they saw. They seen the risen Lord. They couldn't proclaim no one else, and they were willing to die behind that truth. Who would give their life for a lie? Tell me, who do you know in their right mind would be willing to die for testifying that they saw something that they never seen and proclaiming the one who they saw to be Lord? On top of that, Jesus, risen from the grave, was seen by at least 500 people. 500 people seen the same person, Jesus. Now, you got one person who tell me they seen somebody risen from the grave, I may think they're insane. But you're talking about 500 people? I mean, 500 people can't be both drinking poison or seeing things. Not the same thing. 500 people. I mean, the cooperation of witnesses is amazing concerning the resurrection. So yeah, this is all the points that this person makes. I basically got this for the information dealing with the copies and as far as the earlier manuscripts of those different writings that we have, and as far as what we have of the New Testament. So based on how historians base authentic and reliable writings, it seems the New Testament is the most reliable and the most authentic writing that we have compared to Plato, Julius Caesar, and Homer's Iliad, given the information that we had. You know, so I mean, yeah, it's just a fun fact. You know, while I was on here live, you know, seeing nobody want to come in and chop it up. You know, it seems like the only people I could get to come in here was trolls. And as soon as I took away the trolls, took away anybody else that want to come on in and chop it up, for a change. But yeah, those are some truths, just wanted to share and put that out there. I'm gonna share this one more time and give it a couple more minutes to see if anybody just want to come on. I may talk about another point real quick before I get off. All right, I just shared that. Back on here to see what's up. All right. Now, so yeah, oh yeah, at the end of this article, he says, or she says, Christianity is not based upon blind faith. Good point to make. So I heard somebody say when I was trying to talk to them concerning Christianity, was like, they'll love to chop it up with me, but please don't tell me to just believe by faith. And I know a lot of people who are tired of hearing that. A lot of people who have legitimate questions concerning Christianity that people have told them time and time again, well, you just got to believe by faith. And yes, I mean, our faith, we do believe in Christ, and it is by faith. We trust in Christ by faith. But that's what faith is. A trust. But we have so much overwhelming evidence that you don't understand how somebody wouldn't trust in Christ. But Christ even said that there'll be those who will see and don't perceive. There'll be people who hear and don't hear. And those who wouldn't understand. So he tells us that, and we see that in our world today. No matter the amount of evidence that's out there, you're always going to have somebody who's going to reject the evidence that's there, or try their best to rewrite history or revise history that's already there. Yep. So I had shared the post on my Facebook. Just throw that plug in there again. Once again, you can visit us on Facebook at Prescribed Truth, as well as you can support us on Patreon at www.patreon.com/Prescribed Truth, where you can support us. You can take part in the live stream. You can do one-on-one Q&A Bible studies and so on and so forth. Ask questions. Vote on different topics. At the $3 and up tier, that's where you can take part in live stream. We can send you periodic resources that can help you if you're a believer who's wanting to go out and evangelize, or need resources to help you defend your faith a little bit better. We can do that. And just any way we can help you in that regard, and wanting to help others, wanting to give to the poor, wanting to feed people, and do what we can for people when I go out there. What I make on Patreon is it going to go in my own pocket. It's not for me. It's for the people out there. It's for you guys. It's to make the podcast a bit better. Now I do have our goal for $20 a month. Now that would go to make the podcast better. Whether it be a better camera, better microphone, better headset, so I don't have these big bulky headphones on, and stuff like that. Improve the sound, and make the experience a little bit better. And also, I want to do like a monthly skit, type of skit, just a little comical skit, dealing with some that has some doctrinal truths in the midst of it that I want to be able to share. And so, just different ideas that I have with that. They'll be available on Patreon, exclusive to patrons. There's something I won't do won't put on YouTube. It'll be on the Patreon website. And yeah. So that's it there. Not seeing anybody wants to get on. It's cool. So nobody wants to chop it up. That's cool. We gotta chop it up. Well, I hope what I did share was helpful. I hope that you see that if you are a believer, I hope that it was really encouraging to see the amount of evidence for the Bible that we have. Believer, and you just have this idea and this notion that the Bible was just rewritten and and just fabricated by some evil, wicked person. I hope this will help you to just dig a little bit deeper for some truth and some evidences. And hopefully also will bring you on to chop it up with me and let's discuss those things in full. And yeah, so remember, once again, on patreon.com/prescribed truth. Please support us. If not, support us with your prayers. Greatly appreciate it. You follow us on Facebook at Prescribed Truth, also on Instagram at Prescribed Truth, and on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like the videos, take a look at them. Any ones you want to comment on or you want to dialogue about, I'm open to it. But yeah, subscribe on at Prescribed Truth on Facebook, on YouTube. Look us up. Yep. So remember, in a world full of errors, the only thing the doctor prescribes is truth. You're called to distribute that truth. Blessings.